Welcome back to the Purpose Over Profits podcast. I'm Jim Floyd, owner of Ascent Total Performance.
And I'm Jeremy Powers, just some random guy who happens to be here today. No, I'm just playing, owner of Powers Insurance Experts.
I was like, where'd you come from?
I know, Sometimes that's what I wonder.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to continue with our leadership series today. So today we're talking about what?
I'm feeling pretty EQ positive right now. I just want to go ahead and say that. But today we're talking about something very near and dear to my heart, and that's how to lead through chaos.
I thought you were going with you were going to be the agent of chaos.
That's it. I feel like sometimes I could be the agent of chaos.
I just picture like a superhero thing, like for
that's
like insurance agency, like agent of chaos kind of thing.
It's almost like if you go into a sleep study, the Marvel movie they made about my industry is what puts you to sleep. So that's it. You get the best sleep of your life.
Right.
But man, this is so important. And really, to start off, I just want to explain like where I'm coming from. It's not the chaos that you create in your organization through all the areas that you need to improve. What I mean is when something happens that's out of your control. For instance, in our world right now, we're dealing with an extremely hard market. I mean, 2021, the insurance industry had about $3 billion in underwriting loss, which sounds like a lot. In 2022, that number was over $27 billion. And in the first quarter of 2023, we're already over $8 billion. Wildfires, hailstorms, catalytic converter theft, all the chaos that's happening in our world right now has companies just turning new business off. It has our industry saying, hey, if you want to get a policy, we need you to fill out this 15-page application, and then we'll think about it. And so what do you do as a leader when you have producers and when you have a team where you're experiencing rate increases or things like you've never expected, but also you're like, hey, how are we going to write new business tomorrow? And ultimately, I think there's never a better time than now to talk about that, as I'm sure we're not the only industry experiencing these type of woes.
Oh yeah, there's always going to be things that happen that are out of our control. But the one thing we can control is how we respond to it and how we lead our teams through those things.
That's right. I think open communication, we've got a few topics we're going to talk about today, but communicate openly and lead by example are kind of the first areas where we want to dive into it. Because if you're struggling, if something crazy is happening, you just try to walk in every day and act like everything's okay. I can promise you your team's going to get really scared.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's the two is it goes back to authenticity too. If you're not being real with them, then they're not going to trust you with things too. And I think a example for me that I've experienced is, we all had the chaos of pandemic shutdown and all that kind of stuff. So I remember when it first happened, we went from having a full clinic to virtually no patients.
Wow.
We met with some advisors to think about so how do we handle this? What are our best options for staff and all that kind of stuff? Because number one thing is we want to try to support them as much as possible. At that point, we were advised to, just really, you probably don't want to tell them a whole lot about what's going on, and that y'all can make decisions, but just kind of don't let the staff know about stuff. And in my mind, when I'm hearing this, I'm like, what the crap are you saying? Because that is the exact opposite of how I want to be as a leader and all that kind of stuff. So we're like, no, we are absolutely. So we had a meeting every day where we wanted to figure out, all right, I wanted to keep our staff involved. So we told them from the front that we were doing everything we can to not have to lay off anybody, to not furlough anybody. We're I want everybody still coming to work, and we're going to do things. We're going to make videos and all that stuff, even if we don't have patients coming in, and updating them every single day.
Yeah.
This is what we need to do. This is how much revenue we need to generate to be able to stay open right now. And being very, very transparent about all that stuff, every single development. Let them know.
That's right. Empathy and understanding is key during this, because during times of hardship, that transparency, like you're talking about, I truly believe had those advisors who seem to be very old school, self-focused advisors, because they're thinking about the profit. If you ask me, that's not the type of leader people in today's workforce want. And I think that's something that I'm thankful that a lot of businesses don't get.
Yeah.
But honestly, something that at the same time, you and I are trying to change through this podcast. We're sitting here yelling from the rooftops. Literally, we're 11 floors up right now. And I can throw a rock and bust the window out if you need me to. But we're yelling from the rooftop. Guys, people want to be led. They want to be part of organizations where even in the bad times, you bring them along. They want to, like you've said in earlier podcasts, they want you to come alongside them.
Yeah.
They don't need you dictating. They don't need you. Now, sometimes they're gonna need you to be that shoulder.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have to understand that, like, this is hard for you. And you may say, man, it's way harder for me. I'm the one that's not getting the income and I still have to pay you. But this is also hard on them.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they've got families to provide for and things going on. And so I think, like you said, being honest about the difficulties you face and being open and saying, hey, guys, let's all go get a drink together. Or let's take a moment. Let's understand this. But then let's create a game plan.
Yeah. 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 And it's just such an important thing to like your employees want to be able to trust you. And that trust is built through appropriate communication, transparent communication. And, you know, I know if I was on that side, I would want to know what's going on. And so being able to really be able to have that approach with our staff members when there are challenges that are happening and all that stuff makes a big, big difference. I think in just comfort level at that point, but also I think it's a really big opportunity to like show how much you care about their livelihood and who they are and all that kind of stuff too.
Well, I think that's a good run into our second point, which, I mean, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
And that's seeking opportunity. And I want to start off right there. It's not only seeking opportunities for maybe new lines of business or new things that you can adapt, but it's seeking opportunities to take care of the people that choose to grow your organization alongside you.
Yeah.
But also you, and maybe you're not the owner of a business. Maybe you're the janitor, which is perfectly fine, and you want to grow and you want to develop. It's being there for people no matter what level you have. Like, we all can be leaders in our sphere of influence that we have.
Yep.
And I believe that that's so important. Like, what can we do differently to help our people? So what are some examples of things that you guys did during that time whenever you said, hey, I'm not going to hide it from them. We're going to talk about it. I think you said something about you guys had some video creation.
Yeah. So we really leaned into, we were able to do a lot of telehealth stuff with patients. So thankfully we were able to continue their care to some extent, but then also, so we spent a lot of time just having togetherness. We worked out together a lot. We worked on a lot of different things. We made a bunch of videos of teaching different things and all that kind of stuff. We also took the opportunity to hone our skills with things too. And so we ended up making it a net positive to where we all got a lot better as physical therapists along with that, of just taking advantage of that time. Because I mean, we're so busy all the time. It's like patients all day, every day. Then we have this huge opportunity of, you know what, we're all just kind of sitting around. We don't have any patients. Let's research topics and learn more about them or practice our skills.
Is that where you develop your incredible crochet skills? And I've gotten a sweater every Christmas from you the past 2 to 3 years. I mean, you have some pretty cool team building exercises you guys were accomplishing there.
It's all over TikTok.
That's it. TikTok. There we go. We hadn't brought that up in a few episodes, you know. Got to get a good dad joke on here. No, I think that's so right. But then it's also like, what can you do to love your team differently? And that's so important. But then also, where can you grow? Like for us during this time, we're really looking at, we have a great pet insurance offering, you know, homeowner warranties. We've got some of these programs and things that we're building in, and also commercial. Like I am so honed in on the personal line side. You know, the commercial side is green pastures at the moment. And so what we're doing is we're learning to pivot, you know, in the famous words of Friends, you know, Ross says, pivot.
Yeah.
You know?
Pivot!
So we are absolutely doing what we can to pivot in that moment. And so I think that as an organization like telehealth, you know, you are able to do things and grow and develop, because I'm sure you have to be able to help explain in a better way. I mean, there are things that happen with that telehealth that I'm sure your people still use today, and it's helped them become better at what they do.
What it's really, so we're such a physical profession. Going from being able to have somebody right in front of you and being able to do hands-on things and really coach somebody through things, to then all of a sudden now you're having to do it all on video. You got to really ramp up your skills and how are you talking to somebody? How are you explaining those things? So it's a great opportunity for growth with that.
This gives me so much more respect for teachers that had to go through
dude, yes.
students learning online. Imagine the people
Yeah.
you were talking to, other than me. I was like, ooh, look, a bird. Everyone else was paying attention. Could you imagine being a teacher of a third grade class and having to somehow?
So it was so funny. So I remember during that time, both my daughters were about that age, and going up to their room, and they're supposed to be doing their virtual class, and my daughter is sitting where she's got all these things that she's playing with out of view, and she's just leaning in just to look like she's still paying attention and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool.
That's hilarious. But I think that, but also, and you said you had advisors come. What I'm going to challenge you to do is go out. Like what I'm so blessed by right now is that I have created a mastermind group.
Yeah.
Of agents that are going through it. And so, man, that once a month on every fourth Tuesday that we get together, it's like all of a sudden it's just like a weight's off my chest, because here are people in different states and their agencies are in different sizes, but you're able to listen, you're able to vent, you're able to collaborate, you're able to figure out a way to overcome adversity and these things that are out of your control with people that are literally going through the same thing. And so when that happens, I would just beg of you, there's someone out there in a leadership role that just wishes they had someone to talk to, because no one quite understands what they're going through.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important thing, is to have that, and that can help to reinforce what your thoughts are. On the other side of that too is you need to make sure that you are sticking to things that resonate with you.
Mm-hmm.
That is a really big part of leadership as well, is
That's
like
right.
things that are going to really align with your core values. And so just not taking any advice. It needs to be the advice that resonates with what you're doing.
Absolutely. No, I think that's vital. And third, which is going to be where we spend a good bit of our time too, is it's just really encouraging teamwork and collaboration along with celebrating the small victories.
Yeah. Yeah. So with that, so these are times that things can go to where everybody is kind of spreading out and going their own different things, go on different ways. Or it can be a really big galvanizing point of like brings everybody together. Yeah. We're going to be working on this kind of thing. And of course, that's what we would want out of those situations. And going back to having an opportunity through that hardship, that is a big time that we can encourage that for happening, celebrating every little thing that happens, and really like having that where we are really that source of encouragement and building positivity through a challenging time and all those kind of things. Is that should be our big role, is fostering that kind of environment.
Absolutely. And I truly believe the Lord created us for community.
Yeah.
Like we were literally designed for community, not isolation. And so what adversity brings a lot of times, it brings in that scarcity mindset of like, hey, I've got to outperform John and Susan, because if someone gets let go, it can't be me.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we start looking at people and we start doing exactly what the enemy wants us to. We start isolating ourselves. We start seeing everyone else as enemies whenever we're on the same team.
Yep.
And so I think that that's key, is you've got to check your emotions. Now, there may be a time where you say, listen, we've got John and Susan and they both serve this same role. I was talking to a very prominent restaurant here in the community, and they realized like, hey, we have two leaders in the same role and we just don't need both of these leaders. And so sometimes there has to be that conversation, but then there may be another part of your organization where that person actually feels called to lead and you can help make that move. And so I'm not saying that you won't have to face adversity like that, but when we have this self-perceived, like, hey, it's my job versus the next, I just believe that's something you better nip in the bud real quick, or it can actually eat your business from within.
Yeah. It becomes this really kind of cardinal moment of which way is this going to go?
That's
right.
right.
Are we going to make it the best situation we can make it, or is it going to go the opposite direction where things start to fall apart?
That's right. And people might not want to share like that thing that could ultimately collaboration and all these things that we talk about on all of our podcasts, like they're all different ingredients in the soil that cause this plant to just flourish.
Yeah.
And it's like miracle grow. And so if you listen to the leadership and the things that we've talked about as we've gone through this series, you investing in your people, you investing in the EQ, you investing in all of these things creates that environment where people can be open and be real. Yeah. And in moments like this, what you need is that authenticity that we keep talking about. And that recipe right there, that soil once again, it's going to cause that plant to grow and to flourish and have a bountiful harvest.
Yeah.
Or it could be that you added something in there that's literally going to cause it to decay.
Yeah.
And man, I think that so often we don't realize that all the different things that we're doing, man, they all play such a vital part in the DNA of our organization.
It all comes into it. And that is the reason why strong leadership is such an important thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because as much as I think most people that are going to be in positions like ours are okay with that pressure and are okay with being that person. You absolutely have to have that. Strong leaders are going to thrive in those situations because they're going to create those right environments.
Mm-hmm.
Weak leaders are going to wilt. And those are the big things. And so we talk about leading by example in those things too. How do you respond to those adversity moments? Is it going to be something, I just don't know what to do. I'm really scared about this and all that stuff. And of course we need to have some vulnerability with that, but it's also something too of being resolute of, I believe in what we're doing. This is how we're going to do it. And I want to support y'all as much as we can through these kind of things and being that person that people look to. It's like, what are we doing right now? And if you're not that person, you shouldn't be in that position to be doing that. The people who are successful in those things relish those opportunities and want to be that person.
No, you're absolutely right. And, it takes me back. Like, it's funny how, as you're talking, it takes me to these different things. And so what I really resonate with is my daughters really love this movie called Frozen 2. Okay. And there's a scene in that movie where I want to say their name, so it's Anna. Yeah. Elsa, she thinks, has passed away because like everything is, or something's bad has happened to her because Olaf is like melted and but it's like the next, I just remember like, it's like the song of she's in the darkness and it's like the next step.
Yeah.
All that she can do is take that next best step.
Yeah.
And I think that in times of darkness, as leaders, optimism and the willingness to put one foot in front of the other has to be at the forefront of who you are, because that organization or that team or the project, it can't happen without you. Yeah. And it's just like that. Sometimes you just have to pump that Disney music. Alan would be so happy I'm saying this because I walk into him listening to Disney music sometimes, and so he's I call him Big Disney. But at the end of the day, man, it's that moment of like, even in a child's movie, they understand the importance of that resiliency and that, and that's what I want you to leave with, that feeling. I want it to just like cause you to tingle a little bit with like, you have the ability to change the temperature in your organization for the good, but unfortunately you also have the ability to change it for the bad.
It can go both ways. And so one of the biggest things, so my wife and I talk about this a good bit too. So bad things are always going to happen. Things are going to be challenges. What are we going to do about it? Are we going to go wallow? We're going to go into, okay, I understand. Or we're going to acknowledge it. Yeah, this sucks. What am I going to do about this? And I think that's the big difference in how you approach those things. It goes one way or the other. Yeah. All right. So I think that's a pretty big purpose kind of thing, right? Of we're leading through purpose and we're leading through these chaotic times, challenging time, but we have that purpose behind it. And so as we always say, it's all about purpose over profits. Profits are going to take care of themselves, but if we're leading through those things with purpose, everything else falls into place.
Even when the purpose isn't, even when the profits aren't coming in, the purpose still is.
So, yep.